And we are starting. So, hello everyone. I'm very
Hi.
happy to be here in this with Adriana Kortland in our fourth or fifth webinar. And these webinars, they are moments in which we are developing or a subject with experts, with the women that are in a matriarchal path, with matriarchal values and projects. So we are here with Adriana, and Adriana is a psychoanalyst. I will present her a little bit better in a few moments. But mostly we met in one of the Heide Gertner Abendroth courses to become lecturer in matriarchal studies. So we became friends, and she's doing an amazing job. And so I'm very honored to have her in this webinar. So the webinar is I'm going to give you, let me go back into this. Can you see the webinar? No. So
No.
maybe, okay. So now you can see it. Okay. So the subject of this webinar is Lilith, the Lilith Inside, Weaving an Identity Lost in Patriarchy. And it's an interview with Adriana Kortland. And if I can go forward, yes. This is our welcome. We will have a 5 minutes welcome. I usually, in our presentation, remind everyone about our SHEDs, what we've done so far, and what we will be doing this year. So we will have program in Colombia. And if you are interested in knowing more, you can write your email in or subscribe to our newsletter in www.dancinggoddess.org. I hope that Maria can put this in the chat. And we will have a little moment in which I usually light a candle, set an intention. It's like a little meditation, a good luck meditation, a moment, little ceremony for Adriana and for everyone. And then I will present Adriana, and then Adriana will present her project, which is the Lilith Inside, Weaving an Identity Lost in Patriarchy. And she will be with us, talking. She will present through a PowerPoint for 30 minutes. And then we will have a nice exercise all together in breakout rooms with questions that Adriana and myself have prepared. And we will at the end have a sharing circle, check out, and then we will just put this presentation, this webinar on our website, matriculture.net. So I will light the candle. I don't know if you can see me. If you don't see me, you just trust me that I am just lighting a candle for all of you. Fire. We are in the summer. We are in the summer. Just started the summer. We had a festival, beautiful festival in Heide's land, Heide's Göttner Abendroth land, to feast the summer equinox. And it was really wonderful to be all together with many women that also Adriana knows. And we give thanks that we are here together. We give thanks for the opportunity to be together. We reclaim feminine power, wisdom, and knowledge. That's why we're here for. For all our relations, blessed be and blessed do. So you ground yourself. You just feel your feet on the ground. If you have shoes, take off your shoes and just feel the ground and just ground yourself and take a few breaths so that we just leave out all the things that happened today, and we can just concentrate on this beautiful presentation that Adriana will gift us today. So Adriana, look how beautiful she is. She's not only a psychoanalyst, I met, like all matriarchal women have many talents, not one talent. So, I mean, I discovered her many talents. So she's not only a psychologist, but she's a writer, she's a dancer, she's an artist. Adriana is a French-Brazilian writer and psychologist born in 1963 in Rio de Janeiro. This is what she sent me, and I read it. It's her voice. She studied anthropology for 2 years, then switched to psychology and graduated in that field at the Ruhr-Universität Bochum in Germany. She specialized in the application of psychology in aviation, crisis intervention, trauma therapy, EMDR, and brain spotting, and has a postgraduate studies in Jungian psychology and art. She has worked in clinical psychology for over 2 decades. She took part in the 7th extensive study course at the Hagia Academy for Modern Matriarchal Studies and Matriarchal Spirituality. She's a writer with 7 books published in Brazil in literature and self-knowledge for women, and a columnist for several newspapers. Adriana has been writing down her dreams for over 40 years, is a lucid dream practitioner, and continues her dream learning, has self-taught in the study of dreams and shamanism, and now studying the dream tending method at Pacifica University in California. Spiritually speaking, she considers herself an omnist. So welcome, Adriana. We are so happy to have you. And I would like you also to also talk about a little bit about yourself. I know that I met you at Heide, and actually we never met in person, Adriana and myself. So we're always with this world that is pulling us into this in I don't know virtual space. We have been friends for over maybe 3 years, and we have never met. But one day we'll meet. We always say, "Okay, I'll come to France, you'll come to Italy," and we've never done it. So,
Yeah.
to you, the palla. I give you the ball. So I stop this presentation, and welcome. You can just present yourself and tell us a little bit more about you, and then just present your beautiful project.
Okay. Okay. So, hello, everybody. I'm very, very happy to be here, and I love Lilith, and I was very happy to be invited by Sabina because we talk so much. We talked so much about women identity. And to me, I am a self-deduct in mythology. So Lilith is a part of my heart. She lives in me, and I live in Lilith. I would like to share with you some experiences, thoughts, feelings on a theme that is a part of the core of my work as a psychologist and writer. And I am talking about the female identity to creative writing, dance, meditation, psychology. The woman identity is a core, belongs to the core of my life and the core of my work over almost 35 years as a psychologist. And because I always heard about women talked about he he is not a good man because I am not a good woman. He hits me because I drank. He raped me because I was at the wrong place alone. I hear so many things. I hear women in. I worked as psychologist in 5 countries: Brazil, Angola, Cape Verde, Cape Green, Germany, and France. And I always heard about this self-beauty identity. And then I started to learn mythology, our myths, and how they have to do, or they belong to our cultural framework. So I decided to study mythology, matriarchal mythology. That's why I met Sabina in Germany. And then Lilith came into my life and into my work. So I believe we can start with this projection. Is this okay, so? Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you very well. I think everyone, if you can just make sure that we hear you well, and I can see very well your presentation.
Okay, okay. So we live in an identity lost in patriarchy, and we need the dark goddess inside us. Thank you, because today we meet dark goddess. Yes. So now I have to, yeah. So what is a woman? That's the most incredible phrase of Simone de Beauvoir. So the thing is, what is a woman? The everlasting phrase. And who am I as a woman? Who am I in the face of so many millennia of patriarchal concepts about women and the feminine? So the LILITH INSIDE is about the transition from a fragmented to a reconnected woman, the one who creates her own identity. And her own identity has to do with the mythology of Lilith, we will see later. And she was the one who had the courage to question the patriarchal values in herself and in her relationships. And I have this kind of patients who have a Lilith inside but don't know. It's not my duty to bring this theme when my patients doesn't want. But when they want to talk about, I'm very, very happy, because every woman has a Lilith inside. So, well, how can I? Yeah. We will talk about a very important theme, the invisible but sensitive corset, and how I started to work to unravel this corset with my patients. We will talk a little bit about how the understanding of gender in a patriarchal and religious culture, and how our identity was formed about this patriarchal framework, and how the theories about female personality and behavior in the West was formed by theories like tota mulier in uterus. This is a very known phrase from Hippocrates or Plato. They believed that our uterus travels through our bodies. So that's why women couldn't think so well. The uterus was a kind of animal, very wild animal. And when the uterus came to our brain, the women were incapable of thinking, for example. And when we talk about Plato and Hippocrates, we think, oh, that's what it was for 2,000, 3,000 years, I don't know when. But this idea of the uterus responsible for our unstable behavior comes up to the 19th century, to Freud, Sigmund Freud. He started to unravel this idea. So the past is always present, and we talk a little bit about this. I use 3 models, very important mythological women: Lilith, Eve, and Mary. So Lilith is the forgotten one. Eve is the devil, and Mary is the dutiful. Of course, we don't have time to discuss and to go deeper in each mythology, but a little bit, we can talk a little bit about these three women, and maybe feel how they act in us. The old myth of Lilith inspires us to embrace the adventure of undoing and redoing what we have learned as biological gender. But before we can do this, we have to learn who was Lilith in the patriarchal context. So I would tell a very short, of course, the myth of Lilith, the most commonly told Jewish legend. So this legend tells us that Lily was Adam's first wife and Eve's predecessor. Lilith is made from the earth, like Adam. Both are equal. And for this reason, because they are equal, she refuses to lie underneath Adam sexually. And when he insists, she just leaves the Garden of Eden and she goes. She goes to the Red Sea to live her own life without Adam. And Adam was very sad and very, very mad about this. And he complains to God about about the way he was put aside by Lilith. And God makes that Adam gets pregnant with Eve. They are not equal anymore from the earth, but he is pregnant with a woman. We all know this story. So Eve comes into the picture. And Eve, from the moment on he got pregnant with her, we understand that she's not equal, but she's a complement. She exists for him and because of him. This is her function, to be underneath Adam. And God curses her. We know the story about the apple and the snake, etc. Unfortunately, we cannot talk about this. This is not a Jew mythology. It's a very old mythology. In the first one, Adam was not present, but we don't have the time to talk about this. So, after the fall of the apple, etc., God curses Eve, and he says, "I will make your pains in childbearing very, very severe. With painful labor, you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you forever." And we can think, oh, this is a long time ago. We don't have anything to do with this, but we have everything to do with this. An example of France, where I live, where only in 1965, a married woman could finally open a bank account without restriction. She could manage her personal property and sign checks and work without her husband's authorization. So this myth, this curse, this idea of complement and total dependency of a man belongs to our life, to our civilization. And I forgot, God also curses Adam for listening to the woman. Yeah, that's it. And Mary, I don't consider now if the historical Mary really existed or not. Unfortunately, we cannot talk about mythological legacies from other cultures, like the parthenogenesis. We have no time for this. I just want to focus on basic model that tell us the story of a woman who passively obeys God's commands without questioning, like Lilith. She just obeys. And as we always read about in the Bible, in silence. So, in one hand, she's a model for women in Christianity and in Catholicism. And in the other hand, she is an impossible woman because she had a child without having sex. What we learn about, what is the message from this model? The female sexuality, Lilith's sexuality. Female sexuality as something antagonistic to purity, to women, to a normal woman, to the normality of a woman's life. So she is a model at one side and an impossible model as the other side. Who is Lilith? We have to understand that Lilith, before Adam, before Eve, Lilith has to do with the mythology of Sumeria, of Akkadians. And at this time, she is already a demon. So we are seeing here an amulet for protection against Lilith, is her name in Akkadian. Why? And I decided to put this amulet here because it's the only one we have found until today in which we can read her name, Lilith. I can't read, of course, I can't read the things, but all archaeological texts that I have read, they always say the same thing. It's the only proof that Lilith was a mythological reality as a demon, a demoness. So she was very popular, but we will not talk about her role as an autonomous woman. We'll talk about this later. I will just talk about who she was for this Levant, I say Middle East. She was a demon. And it is my belief, it's my interpretation, that the fear for women's sexuality was always a very big deal, a big theme in the patriarchy. I forgot a thing. She is a demoness who has wings. She flies. She kills children. She poisons their milk. She doesn't like pregnant women. She doesn't like men. She's also trying to poisoning many things like the plantation, agriculture. She is really, really a demon. And she's a very old demon. But why Lilith became Lilith? Because when the Jew people, the Hebrew people, import a part of this mythology, they choose this demon in order to consider this first woman who was equal to Adam, a demon. So Lilith was demonized inside the Hebrew community. Eve was demonized, and Mary was a kind of impossible woman. I think this Trinity has to do with our life until today. In our days, and in my writings, in my psychological office, and everywhere, I think, we want to understand who is she to us. Not the demonized Lilith, but the Lilith. Lilith is the Hebrew form of Lilith. The Lilith who allowed herself to make choices, to be autonomous. So the aspect that I use in my work is the one who talks about the recovery of this woman, who is sovereign, who takes decision, who is the soul, the only one who decides over her body, her mind, soul, emotions, thoughts, everything. So 3 words are very important: recovery, sovereignty, and herself. She's not a complement. And all this stuff are these aspects are very important to our idea of a modern, old modern women identity. But before we start with the Lilith, the autonomous Lilith, not the demon, I just wanted to show the man, the Gilgamesh. They lived at the same time in Mesopotamia. And this picture is very important because we see a man, maybe almost like today. He's a very strong man. His appearance has to do with the impression of strength and power. He embodies this. And we see in our patriarchal world that a man can promise power, moral, psychological, personal, social, sexual strength. He can promise everything because he promised a thing to another person. If his behavior is a natural behavior or his behavior has to do with a farce, a man who is playing a role, we really don't know. But his role playing, his cultural framework has always to do with a power he exercises over others. And maybe he believes this power is it was gifted from God or from the nature, from biology, I don't know. But all these theories don't belong to Gilgamesh time. They belong to our time until today. So I think this model, this mythical model, are still present today, 4,000 years later. So I decided to bring Gilgamesh, just in order to understand that the woman Lilith was a demon. The man Gilgamesh is a hero, is a model, a mythical model. The Greek hero Hercules was based on Gilgamesh epic. It's a very interesting story. And I decided to choose a cell in order to talk about the social form of a woman. Why? Because women in patriarchy had to take the social form that the patriarchy wants to impose to them. And during all this millennia, we see what I consider the patriarchal trinity imposed on women. She can be a saint, a mother, or a prostitute. And this model, this social form, has to do with her appearance. The way the woman presents herself. I, here today, in my office, my patients, man, they say she was dressed like a whore. We're talking about appearance. Oh, she's dressed like a whore, so I can do with her what we can do to a whore. So the social form is still a very important theme when we talk about identity. Our social form is not as strong and rigid as in the 19th century, of course not. But we have to do with the social form we had to take. And also the woman who doesn't think about this, she observes the social form. This have to do with the control of a woman. I used 2 photos from Pina Bausch's Blue Birth This piece is incredible. But to talk about a very important root. We are born into a reserved and restricted space. And this space, the home, the family, is always or almost always under the management of a patriarchal man or woman. And the social image of a woman, her position in society, what she does and cannot do, has to do with this limited space. How a girl learns to be a woman. And she will reproduce this model after that. If she doesn't think about this imposition. So there's the family, the patriarchal family, is a very, very rigid corset in which men and women learn to be a patriarchal man and a patriarchal woman. And now I begin to talk things that has to do with my psychological work, the division of a woman. We talk about mythological models. We talk about the family as a very, very big deal in order to reproduce the system. And now I would like to talk about the division of a woman, my division, maybe your division. It's very important to include ourselves in this stuff. What I'm talking about when I say women devise themselves, because we learn constantly to observe ourselves, our thoughts, our bodies, as if women develop a kind of external eye, a patriarchal judge, and this eye is here, and I am always looking if I am okay, my dress, how I talk to other people, how I behave myself, how I walk, etc. So women learn in a patriarchal context to develop a judge, a patriarchal judge, an invisible eye, who is always judge her. And this is the beginning of my theme in the psychological office and in my writings. We split, we become two. We become the patriarchal judge who is always there in order to say, do I have to say something? May I have to use bad words or not? How they will think about me? Do I have to say this yet? No. So it's a kind of patriarchal judge, invisible, but all everywhere. He's there. The examining part of a woman, the patriarchal judge, treats the examined part, the woman to be judged, everything. This is why all patriarchal religions are focusing on controlling women, because when we introjected patriarchal values, they don't have to control us anymore. We have all these values in us, and we reproduce them without thinking, and we judge other women who don't. So she develops the patriarchal eye, and this eye narrows down her space for thoughts. What can I do? What can I do? What profession can I choose? Where can I live? Can I go to the forest alone at night, etc., etc.? So these patriarchal eyes develop and narrows down her space, her actions, her perception of herself. And so we have the corset. When we have the patriarchal judge well structured in ourselves, in our thoughts, in our way of seeing other women, men, etc., and judge others. We are in the corset. It's a very tiny thing. And today, when I'm I don't know, I'm looking at Netflix or I don't know, a film, etc. I hear so many times the same thing. The woman marry, I don't know, a woman, he took the man, the husband from another woman. She is guilty, not a man. She is the Eve, the Lilith, I don't know, who went there and took the husband from another woman. He had no choice. He's a man. So this invisible corset has to do with a very deep psychological experience of feeling it in order to get rid of it. And maybe the most important phrase for me in my work, in my life, is the next one. The examiner for a woman in herself is the introjected patriarchal male. And the part being examined is the patriarchal female. And the work is done. The woman controls herself as if she was a patriarchal man. Another time, Pina Bausch, Bluebird, it's a very beautiful scene. All these women come to Bluebird, this man, in order to say, thank you, thank you, thank you. He's terrible. He's really terrible. He hits them. And they comes to him and they say, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's why I decided to choose 3 photos from Pina Bausch, because this piece is incredible. And from the point of view of the depth psychology, is that I am practicing since I understand myself as a woman, the work of deconstructing this identity, this introjected patriarchal judge, the work from towards reconnection is maybe the most important work women can do in order to recognize all these patriarchal sticks that are put everywhere. A kind of where is the heaven in us, in the head, the hell in the sex. We have so many sticks that were put all over our bodies. So this reconnection towards a kind of, I use the expression pulsating essence, because she's always there. Recognizing the body, psyche, the soul, how we split, maybe every day. Where is the judge? How can I integrate this kind of identity who don't belong to me, but was put inside, introjected as a patriarchal value to be perpetuated. So, in the sense of self-work, learning to reconnect to this matriarchal woman and maybe patriarchal man, recognizing this patriarchal man and how these 2 words, patriarchal values, are in us now, learning to be in contact with them could be a nice path in order to transform all these patriarchal values we have learned to interject it maybe every day. So being herself, even if we don't really know what does it mean. What does it mean to me being Adriana? You have to be Adriana. What's that? Being herself or oneself. It's a permanent work in progress to a kind of core. We may say to a kind of essence, nature, I don't know. But when I think on my path, my biography, I started as a patriarchal girl in a patriarchal world. And I am walking towards my core. I don't know really what is my essence, but I feel so good, so nice, so happy doing this work in progress, maybe until my death, that I wanted to share with you this point of view. How can we transform a very old mythology to a very own and personal mythology? I think it's nice. Learn to identify and get in touch with the corset itself is the very important key. If I don't feel the corset, I can't unravel it. I can't make this beautiful inner travel in order to allow myself to unravel it day by day. So sometimes I think this work will never end and I get anxious. And sometimes I think this work will never end and I'm very happy to do this. So when it concerns to this mythology, the three women, Eve, Lilith, Mary, Gilgamesh, I tried to bring you a kind of resume because each of them has a huge mythology. In many cultures, there are many ways of talking about Lilith, Gilgamesh, Hercules, etc. But I know I have 30 minutes, so I try to concentrate my thoughts and words in order to put this very old world today in my body, in myself, and maybe in yourself too. And take a look. A body inside a corset and a body without corset. This is a piece. I took this photo from a journal from the beginning of the 20th century when Coco Chanel, took the decision to not to use the corset. So in Europe, it was a revolution. So I decided to use this photo to our revolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Adriana. Wonderful. I'm very happy that you gave it this little talk. And there's 4 questions that Adriana put in her for us, thinking about the work that reconnects. And let me go into our PowerPoint for 1 second. And so here I want to show to just share with you the bibliography that Adriana gave us. So there is Françoise Gange, Avant les Dieux, and then there is James Hillman, Archetypal Psychology, and un ex incontro de postgraduação.
This is what's in Brazil.
Who is that? Carlos da Silva Marcos, yes. Those are 3 books that she advised us to read. And for our breakout rooms, following the spiral, we chose. I mean, we had so many questions, and there are so many questions in such a small, not much time. And there's so much to think and solve, that the questions were many. But trying to follow the spiral of the work to reconnect that we use very often. So in gratitude, honoring, seeing the new eyes, and going forth. The questions for you are 4, and they are going to be: how do you present yourself to yourself and others? What kind of questions or comments that are part of your life story represent patriarchal modes of verbal subjugation and dominance? What resources should be created? And what resources do you identify in yourself for personal development related to this topic? So it's going to be a crescendo in which you will actually work on the spiral. So you will be in groups of 2, and you will have 10 minutes each to talk. Maybe you can decide to maybe share 2 questions, and then for 5 minutes, and then go to the other person, and then maybe just go into the second 2 questions. I would like you to take notes. The most important things that comes out, you would like to write them down, because then we will have a sharing circle of 10 minutes all together, because that's really the part that we love so much. So I will put in the chat. I don't know where you are now. Let me see. Yes, I will put in the chat the 4 questions. Can you see them? Okay, and I will make, breakout rooms, and you will have 20 minutes to, let me see, to work together. See. Sorry. Two, 3. Oh, everybody disappeared. As soon as we did the exercise, they all disappeared. I can't believe it. Yeah, they were like, all of a sudden, we're like, let's see.
Maybe we.
So you have Daniela and maybe you're gonna be 3 and 2. I don't know why this is not doing anything. Wait, let me do it again.
Hola, hola, hola.
Are you there?
Is my microphone working? Yes.
Okay, now you have Lee and Daniela. So you have 8 participants. So you can start your session yourself. I mean, I can go in the other sessions. So you can be with Daniela, Polly, and Lena. Maybe you can start talking to each other. And I will try to see what are the other sessions, what is happening in the other sessions.